All right, welcome to another episode of the Microgreen Thumbcast. This podcast helps you grow your microgreen business. As always, I'm Mike. I'm always here, along with my co-host Andy, as you see over here to the side. And as you can see, we have a special guest today, Josh, the owner of Greener Harvest Seeds, better known probably as his handle Bagel Finagle. You guys might all know him on that. So I'm sure you guys have all seen and heard of him. And he will be with us to the duration of this podcast. And he also has a great giveaway today. Josh, do you want to talk about your giveaway?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So we're giving away 3 pounds of seed for this podcast episode. First up will be speckled pea, red acre cabbage, and then we're going to follow that up with broccoli. So that's 1 pound each. Definitely need a shipping address. Y'all can shoot that to Mike, Andy, whoever you're familiar with for sure, and they'll get that to me.
Definitely. We'll give that email address at the end when we do the giveaway, and we will definitely do that. So, just to talk about today's episode, we're going to go talking about strategies for standing out in your business. And Josh is probably a great one to be here. He has done a great job of standing out in his business and getting himself out there. So, I'm sure he will have some great tips for us as we go along. So, let's get into it. Exploring strategies for standing out. Defining your USP, your unique selling position. Characteristics that set you apart in your microgreen business, apart from other competitors, and what's making microgreens unique and desirable to customers. Josh, what was your USP when you started, or what is it now?
Well, when we first started, my main thing was quality. I wanted my quality to really stand out and take front and center, especially when we did our initial sales meetings. So I'm a big, firm believer on first impressions. So for me, it kind of nitpicked a little too much, and it was even in the layout of my paperwork, my price proposition, my quality, all of that. I just felt like it had to be perfect. But overall, I'm definitely going to attribute the quality. Quality speaks volumes, especially when you're meeting with high-end chefs.
Yes, for sure. Hey, Andy, how about you?
Yeah, 100% the same. I mean, quality customer service, that was definitely our two big top things. But I think it was also, and Josh is really good at this too, is just getting yourself out there, letting people see you, see your face. So we did that a lot. We've spoke a lot of places, different colleges, high schools, things like that to talk to people and go, talk to people like at Department of Agriculture events as well, just to help people understand what microgreens are. Then they start associating you with those microgreens. So when they see you in public, they're like, oh yeah, you're the microgreens guy, which always is a great thing to have happen because then you're actually being recognized for what you're doing. So that was kind of part of our thing too, was just getting our personality out there, so people could see who we were, what we were all about, and not just, hide behind a farm or a Facebook page essentially. So worked out good.
Awesome. Yeah, we always get people come up to us and say, hey, itty bitty. They don't even know our names, but they know the company name, which is okay with me. They can call us that all they want, but that means something's working. They're getting it out there. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, real quick, funny story. So the first
yeah.
time I got recognized, it was in the airport, and someone come up to me and says, "Man, you look real familiar." So I'm in a small town, and we all know each other for the most part. I say know each other. We know of each other, know of the same people, especially in our industry, oil field, by the way. So just talking with them, small talk, and finally he was like, "You're the guy that sells peas." Like, man, Pete, yeah, that's me. That's what I do.
I'm P. I'm the P guy. That's funny. Hey,
Yeah,
Yeah.
ours is always when my wife and I are out to dinner and people just walk right up to the table and they're like, "Oh, are you the microgreens guy?" And I'm like, "Oh man, can you just let us have a nice dinner here?" But I don't mind. It's nice being recognized for that kind of stuff. I mean, it goes to show that your efforts have put your face in front of people and they recognize you. So it's
Yeah.
definitely a good thing. And they were kind of like, "Hey, you're that jerk that sells peas." That's what you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
definitely not. All right, let's talk about microgreen varieties. Emphasis on importance of offering unique microgreen varieties that customers cannot easily find elsewhere. They could be exotic or rare varieties, cater to a niche market. Andy, when did you start offering your unique varieties, and what were they?
I mean, ours were kind of like our mixes that we threw together in the beginning, which we're not really good at. I know you're like the king of mixes, so this is probably a
Yeah.
great one for you. But that's kind of what our initial thought was. We just did a couple basic mixes, and then really this last year and a half or so, we really started growing some more unique stuff for restaurants, like basil and celery and bull's blood, amaranth, some of the tougher ones, just to get them on our menu essentially. But yeah, we really didn't start going heavy into the really unique stuff until probably early last year.
Nice. Josh,
Yeah.
what did you do?
Yeah, so when we first started, I always talked about like a core four or a quick six, right? The fastest growing stuff we're all accustomed to growing: sunflower, broccoli, kale, radish, yada yada. But here recently, and that's been a big driver in terms of revenue for grocery stores. But here recently, we're starting to see a uptick on cilantro. So cilantro sales are really doing good, and this is mainly speaking on grocery stores. But however, crossing over into our restaurants, we're starting to see a lot more beets being used. And it used to just be, or normally was, kind of like salad mixes. Um, what was another? Rambo radish was a big one. So we're starting to see beets take a good little chunk in restaurants, and the surprising one for us is cilantro in grocery stores.
Yeah, that's a surprising one. Grocery stores didn't do well when we tried to put cilantros in there. We had a small run with them, so that's shocking. The cilantro is selling that well. We sell great at the farmers market; people love it there. But in the grocery store, we never had good success.
Hmm.
But that's good to hear. Have
Interesting.
you just recently put it in there, or has it been something just starting to
Nope.
take off?
No. Yeah, we recently, I think, about 6 weeks ago, we've put it in, and the first week we stocked it, it sold out like 2 days later. And we gave them just we just put like four samples of each of everything that we had. The cilantro sold out immediately.
Nice.
So, um, and Mandy and I were thinking about how we would stock it and keep the price affordable for everyone. And if you walk to the grocery stores, you see the small little packages for herbs. You got like
Yep.
rosemary, cilantro is one. So that's the next thing that we're gonna start doing is putting our basil in there and putting our cilantro in there as well, and having those be able to get hung up and it doesn't have to be right in that same area, but we definitely want more products in the grocery stores.
Nice. I like it. Changing unique varieties out into something different than what anybody else is doing. So that's smart. Very good. I like it. All right, let's talk about exceptional quality. Highlight the quality of your microgreens, whether about superior taste, freshness, consistency, making sure your customers associate your brand with high quality. This is, to me, which we alluded to it just a minute ago, a little bit, both guys did. Quality to me is where you can set yourself apart. There's a lot of microgreen grower out there. Anybody can grow a tray of stuff and just have bad quality. Don't pack it right. You don't ship it out in time, whatever. Making sure you have high quality and also delivering it within 24 to 48 hours to your customers, to me, is huge. Getting it to your grocery stores in that time makes your quality so much better. Josh, how do you show your customers about your quality product?
I love it. So first and foremost, man, like I say, first impressions are everything. So packaging has to be presentable. Something there's my pet peeve is when students show packaging and it's black and white labeling. It's very bland. If you want to stand out, this is what you got to do, right? You have to have some color on there. But know your product, know your customers. Second thing is definitely quality. We want the best quality microgreens that we can put in that clamshell. So a lot of times, if we see an edge that's dried out, we're skipping that edge. We're not going to harvest it, of course. Going those little things that you do to go above and beyond has a compounding effect overall on your business, your revenue, and also in the minds of the customer.
Awesome. Yes. When you're in grocery stores, like Josh said, the biggest part is that label and the quality package, and then also the microgreens obviously being quality without saying that. But that label to catch their eye and get there, black and white's not going to do it. You're going
A
to need color.
hundred, 100%, man. And look, that's there's a reason why Coca-Cola is a known brand, and they still spend $1 billion or millions of dollars in advertising and product design development.
Mhm.
There's you can't go wrong with that. If you're just doing bare minimum, the people are going to assume that you're a bare minimum corporation.
Exactly. 100%. Can't agree more. Andy, I know quality is one of your major focuses as well. What are some
Yeah.
things that make your micros stand out?
So it's all the same stuff. And what we do, ironically, is when we go to a chef, we usually bring them a lot of different samples, and we tell them straight to their face, we're like, take one of these packs, throw it in the back of the fridge, and forget about it for 2 weeks. Pull it out. You're gonna see it looks exactly like it does right now. Wait another week, pull it out again. You're gonna see it's pretty darn close to what it looks like right now. To really make them understand, like, holy cow, this guy's like literally telling me to torture test his products, and oftentimes they do, and that's an easy no-brainer for them because they know the stuff's gonna last. And speaking on the packaging and the quality of the labels, we there was one grocery store that we got into last year. There was a bunch of microgreen growers that had tried to get in there before, and they turned every single one of them down until they saw our packaging, our labels, our website, everything else. They literally thought we were a franchise, and they're like, "Yeah, everything looks so good." And I was like, "No, this is literally all just stuff we designed in house. We print them all in house on a laser printer, make them look really nice." So they were extremely impressed, and it was the only reason I was able to get into that grocery store. Otherwise, if I had black and white labels, they would have turned me away, almost guaranteed. They wanted something professional and nice. They've got high-end clients. It's a pretty ritzy area in northern Delaware, so they wanted nice, good-looking stuff. So, yeah, color. I mean, because when you're at the grocery store and you're selling in grocery stores, you're not standing there telling them why to buy that product. They're literally going to have to say, I want to spend $5 to $7 or whatever on this thing that I've never heard of before. It's going to be very tough, but if you can draw their eye in and make them see, why they should buy it, then it makes a big difference. Even with our labels, like right now, our label kind of wraps around, the bottom of the thing. So we always make sure all the leaves are up here to be seen. So that way the label's just hiding the stems. Just little details like that, man. Because if you had to turn upside down, all the leaves were hidden and all you're seeing is stems, nobody's going to buy that. It looks terrible.
Yep.
So you got to take the time to make it look nice. And it starts literally with the packaging of the greens themselves.
Yes.
Put them in there in a way that looks good, and make sure your label isn't covering everything up, and make sure your labels are good qualities. Take the time, pay somebody to design a nice label for you. It's worth it. Or get on Canva and do it yourself. But definitely come up with something nice that's colorful. And Mike, I love the way you guys do like different colors on each label to kind of highlight each thing. That's something I eventually want to do once I have more time and get this software off the ground.
Yeah, it's definitely a good selling
super
point
high priority for us.
with the color, because then you're putting them in the grocery stores, and we make sure we don't have yellows next to yellows. We separate them,
Yeah.
When you're putting them all in there and everything else, because we put them all in the grocery stores. So we make sure the labels are separated in colors and everything else, and so it catches your eye when you're walking by. That's what you got to do. You got to catch your eyes. You got to be that Coca-Cola and grab them in. So.
Yep.
Yeah, that's definitely something we push on. Even when we meet with distributors, do the exact same thing. Tell them, hey, throw one of these in the back of a truck, let it ride around all day, and then pull it off at the end of the day and see how it still looks. That's them. I'm basically telling them to challenge our product, and knowing that going into it, it's going to be just fine. So it's definitely a nice plus to know that you've got that quality to back up what you're saying.
Yeah, and Andy made a good
builds confidence.
point about packing your microgreens. When you're packing them in there, setting them in there properly, just don't throw them in there. That's why we love harvesting by hand, and probably I don't ever see us changing that, just because you can cut them, put them in there nicely, set them in there. If you're using a harvester, they're just throwing them all in there. They're going to be everywhere. Stems are going to be shooting every which way. So to me, harvesting by hand, you can make the product that much more quality. But that's a whole other subject we probably could be on for a while. So
Yeah, no doubt.
It is pretty important.
It is, absolutely. And like I said, all of these things compounded is really going to establish you as a complete different company from your competitors. It's not just another microgreen company. It's Greener Harvest. It's Itty Bitty. It's Fresh Source. It's just small attention to details like that. That's where you see success at.
Yep.
Sure. Can't agree more. Yep. Everything compounds on top of it. So if you do everything right and everything high quality, it's definitely what sets you apart when you got all of it. So, all right, let's talk about local sourcing. If you're sourcing your microgreen seeds or a supplier locally, emphasize that in your USPs. Local source can identify fresh and support the community, which can be appealing to customers. So if you're using a local supplier, you're a local seed company. If you're using a seed company from the United States, which I'm sure Josh can talk about this a lot bit, very easy for him to source locally because he can get them from himself. So Josh, can you talk about a little bit about your local sourcing?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's not factored into our USP. My main thing with the USP is definitely first and foremost quality. I'm going to beat that until that horse is gone. So our seeds, of course, we're in house for our seeds as well. But the thing here is we're not just using just plain seeds. I mean, these seeds have been tested and verified extremely high germination rates. So I'm trying to target seeds or lots that have 95+% germination. Now, depending on market, sometimes you definitely have to go below that. But I think the lowest one we offer now is nasturtium, and that's at 86% germination. And that's the only one on the market that I could get right now. That will be changing soon, but um, I that's not part of my USP, so I really can't put too much on that. Put me on the spot there, Mike.
But you do locally source. You could talking about local sourcing. Getting your seeds from somebody local like Josh. That could definitely be something you can say. Hey, I get my seeds from this local United States supplier. And we support within the United States. Because seeds usually you could a lot of the big companies out of Canada. Most people moms. So hey, keeping it in here and buying locally from Josh. So I just want to hammer that part home that you can greener harvest seeds. You can get them from a local
Oh
ish
yeah,
microgreen grower, which is even better,
Yep.
suppliers.
yeah.
Andy, do you do any USPs with your local in your area?
For seed stuff,
Anything?
I mean, like we obviously preach the fact that our stuff is locally made and grown. We have it on our labels as well. It says the town, that it was made in or grown in, so that way we can, when it's in the grocery store, the hope that somebody, that somebody would see that and be like, oh, that's 5 minutes down the road or 10 minutes down the road or whatever. So we do advertise that on our actual label as well.
Yes.
And it's kind of like a little creative, like road sign looking thing that kind of, says, hey, Elkton is where it was grown. So it's
Nice.
kind of fun, but it works out good. And that way, the hope is that we're really emphasizing that fact. We could probably do better on our labels as far as really pointing out the fact that it's local. But for the most part, a lot of the grocery stores that we're in, they promote that as well, like on the tags or whatever that they put on the shelf. They say, hey, this is from Elkton, Maryland, or whatever. So it works out good that way too. But obviously, like when I go and do samples at grocery stores too, I really emphasize the fact that you're meeting the guy who's literally ordering or who's literally growing your actual stuff. So it works out good. They can meet the farmer. They can talk to me directly to get information versus just me being a sales rep from a large company that just, happens to be in the area at the time and they're handing out samples. It's a whole lot better when you can actually talk to the fact that you're actually local and it took you 10 minutes to drive here to set up this little sample table or whatever. So yeah, we definitely push that a lot in person, especially, but on our labels as well. So that's kind of our big focus for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that totally flew over my head too. So we do the same thing as well. We make sure that whoever sees our label sees that we're a local company, and I think that's a big plus to some smaller startups is to emphasize that it is a local company because everybody feels good when they know they're supporting, a little girl going to cheer camp or a kid going to basketball camp, so on and so forth like that. So definitely having that local touch is another way to resonate with a hopeful customer.
Yes. For sure. Yep. And we do the same thing. It's on our label and, locally harvested, freshly harvested, locally grown, stuff like that on the label. So, yeah, definitely want to do that as well. All right. Customer service. Exceptional customer service is key, such as prompt response times, customers customize orders, educational support, and to be part of USPs. It makes the buying experience exceptional. Again, local, exceptional. You can get back to them. You're small enough that they're not drowned in 300 emails. So that's a unique selling point that they can get a hold of the owner. They're not talking to a customer service rep or anything like that. Is key when customer service and getting back to them in timely manner and not making them wait 2 weeks to figure out if there's a problem or not, or if they're trying to put an order in. You definitely want to get back to them as fast as possible. Andy, I know you've done some educational events that helps this out as well. Or is there any other ways you provide exceptional customer service?
Yeah, I mean, really, they know they can reach me. And the irony is, half the time when I hand out my business cards, I literally point out, like, and I'll take a pen out and everything, and I'll put an arrow right to my cell phone number. I'm like, this is how you get directly to me. This is my cell. You can text me on this number. You can call me on this number. But beyond that, it's just, making sure any issues get taken care of right away. So we had one delivery last year, I believe. It was to a chef on a Thursday. He got the order. We realized we had forgot to pack one of his things in it, and I called him. I proactively reached out to him and said, "Hey, chef, I'm on my way. I just want to let you know this isn't in your bag. I'm going to be there in 10 minutes." And I drove it right over there immediately. And then I have another chef that he randomly orders a bunch of sunflower seed or sunflower, and then he just kind of says, "Hey, can I come at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning?" Sure, I'll go. I'm up crazy early. I get there. I wait for him to roll in at 7 a.m. I give him his stuff, and I go home. And it's just, but he knows, and he's had other microgreen people approach him as well as many other chefs that I work with, and not to say that the other people get laughed out the door, but they might as well be, because they're like, why would I choose anybody else? Because Andy takes care of me all the time. He's never let me down. His orders are always in on time, and everything's taken care of. So, that's the kind of relationship you want to establish with your customers, where they don't even want to go to somebody else. Even if somebody came in and said, "Hey, I'm a little bit cheaper than this guy," they'd be like, "Well, that doesn't make any difference to me. I'm getting the best already. So why would I change?" So it's nice to have that. I've had several of my chefs in the last couple of months, because there's definitely some growers popping up around where I'm at, have said the exact same thing. They've had somebody walk through the front door and they're like, "Yeah, don't bother. Yeah, I'll stop you right there. I've got Andy. He's awesome. I appreciate the pitch, but we're going to stay with who we've got." So, it's good. That's the benefit. And customer service is what helps get you there. And if you have all quality and no customer service, or the opposite, it's still, you have a failure point. So you got to have both of those things to really be truly, truly successful and be considered the guy to be counted on all the time.
For sure. Yeah, quality can get you in the door and get you going, but if you don't have the customer service, it's not going to keep you there. You're going to lose it. So definitely that. Josh, what have you done as customer service?
Man, really, he hit everything right there. I think something else that I do too, though, is I make sure and text all my chefs, all my produce managers, if not right before delivery, because I don't do the deliveries. But I check in with them. "Hey, chef, how's everything going? Hey, produce manager, is everything still selling good?" Because the more information you have to work off of, the better the flow can go. So if you see, or if a produce manager tells you, "Hey, sales are slowing down a little bit," okay, well, we can do something about that. Whether it's been bad weather for a couple of weeks and just slows foot traffic to that store, or if we just need to do something to draw more attention to the products right there, whether it's a postcard or some type of flyer or even a sales event, something like that. But that Andy, you really hit everything there. Check in with your customers. Customer service is extremely important, and not just for me on the grow side, but for me as seed sales, something I do as well. Check in with everybody. "Hey, how's everything growing? Any issues?" And believe it or not, every complaint that we've ever seen, I personally handle. I look at and see, okay, what's going on here. So someone said that they had moldy sunflowers one time. All right, well, we grow sunflowers year round here, and it's the same ones. So I'm going to look through it, and if I got mold on my sunflowers, all right, let's have a discussion here. But if I don't, talk to me about your process. So a little bit more customer service through that way has helped not only me, but someone else also refine their process and see what's happening, in their process, what could be going wrong there. So customer service definitely, for sure, is extremely important, but you cannot have bad quality and good customer service. That's not going to help anyone,
Hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to have both.
And I'll add one more thing too that we typically do as well, and it's just another, that relationship, building the relationship, is whenever we have extra of something, like let's say, we had somebody cancel and we end up with 2 or 3 extra pounds of something or whatever, I always send samples to my chefs and or to my regular customers and just say, "Hey, everybody's getting sunflower this week. Everybody's getting amaranth this week." Just text them and say, "Hey, chef, I'm sending you some extra product this week. Let me know what you think." And 9 times out of 10, they'll either onboard it or they'll replace it with something that's cheaper. I've had a lot of upgrades from, something to basil or something to amaranth or something to bull's blood, to where they see that pop of color and they're like, oh, wow, I never played with this before and I really like it. And the next thing you know, you're getting a higher sale as a result because you're selling them a higher price point microgreen. So just again, something super simple. I mean, you hand them a free thing that you had anyway, that you had left over for one reason or another. So why not? But it just helps create that real strong bond relationship with your chefs and with your customers. You're just showing like, hey, look, we thought about you when we had this extra stuff, and it really makes them feel important and part of the process. So it's definitely key, and it's all part of your customer service and just building that relationship. You should be able to go hang out with your customers or your chefs, go out to get drinks or whatever and have a good time because you guys know each other so well. It should be to that point. And if it's not, find a way to get it there, because once they are friends with you and they feel good about everything, I mean, it's a no-brainer. You're a customer for life, or they're a customer for life at that point until you screw something up. So don't.
I love it, man. Absolutely. So we've been dabbling in flowers and also the aeroponic towers. So that's something else that we've done is, when we have a amount of flowers pop up, guess what? We're going to harvest these up. And there are several restaurants we deal with that have a bar side that may not be incorporating flowers into their drink menus, but their competition is. So that's something that you can hand off to open eyes and add more of a revenue stream for your business.
Definitely agree with that. We are definitely working on more revenue streams for our business right now as well. So flowers is one of them. So definitely, now that we're in a big space, we can expand and do other things that we do. Andy probably will, even though he doesn't want to grow flowers. He might in his bigger space. He's gonna have all that room.
Yeah, I might bite that bullet. We'll see.
Well, look, you're going.
But yeah, and where I am, there's nobody selling them. I mean,
Oh, wow.
nobody around here. They're buying them from that big place out in California, and they're junk. If I could figure out how to grow, what is it? Can't think of the name of it.
Violas, marigolds.
No, it's the really
daisies.
expensive ones.
Oh,
Orchids.
Oh my gosh, orchids. Thank you. Yes, yeah. If I could figure out how to grow orchids, man, I would make a killing. But I've every bit of research I've done, they're apparently very hard to grow. So one of these days I'll tackle them. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, distributors buy them in huge amounts, but they have to throw them away after 2 or 3 days after they've gotten there because they're junk. So
they took a week and a half to get to them after they were harvested.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
All right. Well, these guys knocked it out of the park on customer service. I can't add too much more to that. That is awesome. Thank you guys for that. Let's talk about culinary resources. If you provide your customers with recipes, cooking tips, information on the nutritional benefit of the specific microgreens, that can be valuable for your unique selling point. That look to incorporate it into their diet, how to do it, everything else. That is huge. If you can do that, you can do videos for them, maybe, or just little recipe cards or recipe sheets or something for them to integrate into their diet. Because you can get them more integrated into their diet. They're using them all the time. They're going to use more. They're going to buy more from you. They're going to buy more at the grocery store. They're going to buy more home deliveries from you. Even chefs don't have this. Hey, chef, that's seen this on your menu, this item, this microgreen would go great with it. This is why it would pair with this great. Don't hesitate to let them know what would pair great with that. They love that. That's what every salesman that comes in and tries to sell them stuff is going to do. So they're used to that sales pitch. Josh, do you do anything with culinary resources, information sheets, or anything?
You know what? I have not, but I definitely need to up my game there. And I'm saying this after I just had a conversation. I know we all do coaching and mentoring. Mm-hmm. I had a conversation with the mentee about 5 days ago, and he was telling me that he used ChatGPT to come up with a few different recipes with some of the greens that he wanted to showcase. So one of them was a pizza place he went to, and he was like, look, this on a pizza, it goes really good together, right? He did his little sales pitch. The guy made a pizza right there with that, and that on it, and he landed a customer just like that. Awesome. From it. Nice. So it's there, the potential's there. And, in speaking with him, it had my wheels turning. A lot of the chefs we work on like seasonal menus. I don't know if that's something that y'all deal with. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I kind of held off on that. But after hearing about this, about his success with that, and he did it to 2 other restaurants, which he also landed. Uh, that gave me motivation to do it. And even if they don't incorporate it on that season's menu, now it's going to be, that seed has been planted in that chef's head to maybe incorporate it, on the next season's dish or whatever menu change they have coming up.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great story. That's awesome. Andy, do you do anything?
Yeah, so we on our website we actually have, and I just posted the link into the private chat if Jess can share it to the regular chat. But we have a link to a grower. I think they're in Canada, if I'm not mistaken. But this guy has put together a Pinterest page that just has thousands of recipes. They're broken down by categories and all kinds of stuff. So we actually link right to that. And we don't do emails too often through like MailChimp or whatever, but the one that was the most popular by far was the actual recipe one that we sent out. The email that we got the most clicks, the most opens, the most reopens, all that stuff. So it worked out really well. That was a huge draw, to get people to learn more about how to actually use the microgreens in their recipes. But beyond that, on our website, we've got all the nutritional values, at least what we can claim anyway, to a certain extent, on all of our pages as well, so people can see things. And then in our store, this is something you could also do at a farmer's market on a tablet or whatever. It's just we have little infographics that we created for each one, and if they're standing in the store, they can just literally scroll through and read each one. It has all the nutritional information. It also has a list of how we personally use them. So that way it just kind of gives them. Because you always get that same question every time. Oh, I just use these in salads. I just use these in salads. No, man. I'm like, I hardly ever eat these in salads. Well, you got to think outside of that square box that you're stuck in. So we really try and drive that point home that these aren't just for salads. They're meant to be added to anything you're eating. I mean, that's the whole point. Is you're working nutrition, high nutrition, densely packed nutrition into your actual meals that you're already eating. You don't have to change your diet. Exactly. Ideally, you cut back on some of the worst stuff, but ultimately, just to get that nutritional value in. And they're like, I often get like, oh, I don't feel as hungry when I eat these. I'm like, well, no kidding, because your body's actually getting the nutrition it wants. I mean, if you're constantly hungry, it's because you're eating junk and it's not giving your body anything it actually needs. So that's the kind of point we tend to drive home. And I know, Josh, you're really good about getting that stuff on your all your content that you post too about all the nutritional values on things. So I appreciate that very much.
Oh yeah, man, that's something that we've just started going into probably the past year and a half. Is really getting into the nutritional aspect of not only the greens that we're selling, but the alternatives of what's in the store. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm not even going to start mentioning because we're going to go down the rabbit hole. But you understand where that's heading, and I mean, look, the writing's on the wall, people. Yeah. There's a reason 80% of Americans are on at least one medication. All right. I want to say Americans over 62 or 66 are on at least 2 types of medication, majority of them. And even kids, you're talking like, I wanted to say the stat was 12 to 20% of children up to 13 years of age are now on medication, whether it's for, ADHD or whatever, but nutritional deficiencies in our bodies is a real thing. And this is something that directly combats. So that's a sales point when you're in farmers markets, or even if you're promoting in grocery stores or health stores. The nutritional thing is real, and it's also a sales point.
For sure. Definitely got to do this. Eat this nutrition. Eat your medicine is what I always tell everybody. Instead of taking a pill, eat your medicine. You can find almost anything you want. Like, we can go down this rabbit hole, but we don't have time today. Eat your nutrition. Eat your medicine.
Yep.
So,
yep.
All right. Jumping off of that, let's talk about consistent availability. If you can guarantee consistent supply of your microgreens year-round, that's one of our biggest selling points, guys, year-round production. The reliability can be strong in USPs for chefs, restaurants, grocery stores, home deliveries, whoever needs a steady source of this stuff. One way I know you can make sure you have consistent products is having a software program that tells you when you need to do it, like Andy is developing and got out there in beta testing right now. Great program is going to help you with that. Andy, I know you've used that software for a while to make sure you have consistent products.
Yeah, I wrote it 3.5 years ago before we even started. It was a much less version than it is now because I didn't know what the heck I was writing it for at the time. So we had all kinds of extra crap in there that we definitely did not need. We were tracking how much water we were giving everything physically on each tray where something was located or on shelves anyway. So we took a lot of that stuff out once we realized it was just a giant waste of time. So we tailored it back to where you can use it as a small business all the way up to, somebody who's doing 1,000 trays a week, not an issue. So that's the one beautiful thing. And it's got everything in there to allow you to grow from being small all the way up to getting to the point where you're USDA inspected. It's all the tools are in there for, to be able to handle that with cleaning records, training records, and disposal records and all the fun stuff that they're actually looking for. So it's awesome. It's called FarmFlow. If you haven't checked it out yet, find the FarmFlow beta testers group. FarmFlow is one word, 2 capital Fs. FarmFlow beta testers on Facebook, and jump in there. It's got links to actually, be able to sign up for the beta testing program and try it out. Right now, you can get in there for free. I mean, it costs absolutely nothing to use it, at least through the end of this month. I'm going to run the beta testing through there. Luckily, I think at this point, we've got a lot of the actual bugs out of the system, which is great. We've added probably 10 new features since we did the demo a couple weeks ago. Some of them are pretty serious, so there's definitely some nice things in there, that allow you to put in your own currency, put in, if you want to use grams or ounces or pounds or kilograms or whatever, all that calculation's all done for you. So you don't have to choose one and be stuck with it for everything. You can say, hey, this is how much my seeds are going to weigh. These are how much my, harvest weights are going to be and all that good stuff. So you have the ability to separate all that out. So got a lot of phenomenal feedback even from programmers. There's a couple of programmers that are actually in there and they're loving it. And I actually enjoy having those guys in there because they really test the crap out of it in heavy detail. One of the guys actually said, look, I'm giving you permission to try and beat the system, to try and see somebody else's stuff, to try and get into somebody else's things. And, I was like, I'm giving you written permission to try and find your way into something you're not supposed to see. And he's like, I've had zero luck, which is good. So if anything, he's seen the access denied screen more than anybody else, probably at this point. So, but I've been a Linux server administrator, I've been a database administrator, high-end web developer for 30-something years. This is my regular job all the way up until I started doing microgreens a couple years ago. So it's secure, it's ran well, it's programmed well, and it's built to last. I've built systems that had hundreds of thousands of people using them every single day. So this is a no-brainer. But yeah, I think we've got about 150-ish people in there right now banging around on it. So far, it's all been great feedback. So FarmFlow beta testers, get in there, check it out, get signed up, and that way you can get early access and try it out before payday starts on November 1st, hopefully. Got to figure out how to onboard everybody. That's my next phase.
Awesome. Yeah, great program. I've dove into it a little bit. I need to get into it more, just time-wise getting in there, but definitely great so far seeing everything in there. Josh, how do you make sure you have consistent products and don't ever run out?
Yeah, so we used to just run everything off of a whiteboard, and we have our whiteboard sectioned off, by day, what needs planted. We work on a weekly delivery here, and there's a couple grocery stores that we have that's on bi-weekly delivery, but I always make sure I have extra anyways. Yeah. So planting weeks don't change at all. However, as we're scaling up the grow side too, I want to leave as little room for error as possible. So we have been using Andy's software. I love it. I love the concept behind it. I love that it's easy to track, easy to work. It's the only software that I've used, and a lot of people tried getting me on. I forget the other. There's 2 or 3 of them out there. I just haven't been interested into it. Now that I'm taking a step back from it, I'm really relying on these processes, especially the software. So if anyone's scaling up and they're concerned about that, the software is definitely an answer. It's my answer for sure. So taking all questions out, this is the to-do list, and go from there.
Yep, that was the plan.
Yes.
Yeah, and this is what we're using, folks. We're at 36 racks at this point. We're using the exact same system that everybody else is logging into. I'm not going to maintain 2 giant chunks of software. That'd be a freaking nightmare. So it's about 15,000 lines of code. I don't want to have to deal with 30,000 lines of code. I can just deal with 15,000. So yeah, we're in the exact same system as what you guys are using. So if there's problems, we have problems. So obviously I want to make sure it's 100%. And we've definitely come very, very close to that, if not already there at this point. So, and it's all thanks to you guys that are in there beta testing and beating it up and posting those bugs and asking new features. And, if anything, it's making me see things that I thought made sense, but they don't necessarily make sense to everybody else. So I've got to figure things out and make those changes to make the, as clear as possible for people to be able to get in and do what they have to do. So, Josh, I really appreciate that feedback, brother, very much.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man.
Working out.
Awesome. Yes, definitely check that program out, guys. We started as Josh did with the whiteboard, moved to an Excel spreadsheet, then moved to Seedleaf, now moving to FarmFlow, and just the next evolution of things and everything else. So FarmFlow, like I've always said, it's the next program on steroids. It's going to be everything for you to run your business. So, but we started the same, whiteboards, spreadsheets, the software. So just as we scaled up and everything else, spreadsheets were not going to continue working for us. Our whiteboard that was going to get very big whiteboard, so the whole wall.
We got two
That's
of
why I'm
them.
lucky. I got to bypass that whole process. Go right to software.
You got two of them, Josh?
Yeah, we got two of them. So when we moved into this building, they left behind, I guess this is 4 by 5, 4 foot by 5 foot whiteboards.
Wow.
So that's what we use. And we got dry erase markers, man. We got them all blocked off. And,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to putting everything onto this software and being able to have that mind at ease feeling,
Yeah,
For sure.
that's really it. That's why I tell people, whenever they're like, well, how much does it cost? I'm like, it's going to be like 50 cents a day. Isn't that worth being able to sleep at night knowing that everything you needed to get done was done?
Yeah.
Everything was planted. And I mean, having the buffer percentage built in where you can say, just in case, let's tack on an extra 10% or 15% every week or whatever you decide to go with, that helps. I mean, it's just that peace of mind to know that everything's going to be taken care of on harvest day. That's a huge thing. I mean, we've never run into any of those issues before unless we killed something. We planted the correct number of trays, but if we, it's the only time we've ever fallen short is if we did something stupid in our planting process. But we've had that buffer percentage in place. We keep it at 15% just in case. That way we can make extra sales if we need to each week, which works out good. So that way we're covering anything just in case something does die. We know we're good to go. So it works out nice. But yeah, all kinds of cool options. We got the 2-hour demo that Mike and I did a couple weeks ago. So feel free to go find that. Jess might be able to post that in the chat as well. But yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I'm so excited to finally get to this point with it.
I love
it,
a
lot of freaking work.
If you came out probably a month earlier, it would save me this time because I'm 2 trays short of speckled pea. And I looked all over the racks hoping they were just misplaced or something, but they just weren't planted. And so that's a conversation I got to have Monday. So,
yep.
But yeah, so
the
we're
joys
sure
of employees.
that's true, but that's growing pains. So having this software, like I said, that's everything's in there. So daily to-do list, checklist, man, you can't go wrong. I love it. I think you definitely have an industry changing program for sure.
Yep.
I appreciate that very much.
I'm not saying that to hype y'all up, but I'm serious because everyone's dream should be able to expand their microgreens business. Yep. You can't do it alone. You cannot do it alone. You have to put people in places, and that's calls for risk. So this is a way to mitigate some of that risk.
For sure.
Yep.
100%.
I appreciate that, man, especially coming from you.
Yep.
All right, guys. So make sure you check out FarmFlow beta testers on Facebook, and check out that video that we did as well. That will explain everything you need to know. Dandy went into detail of what that program does on that video. So it's long, but it's well worth the watch to get in there and watch that. So definitely.
It's only long because there's so much options.
Yes. If you need to, break it up in 30-minute segments, but you want to watch that if you're interested in that program because it's going to tell you exactly what you need to know. So,
yep.
All right. Let's talk about calibration and partnerships. If you collaborate with a local restaurant or business to create a unique microgreen dish or product, highlight these partnerships as part of your USP. Andy, I know that you've done this and you make special mixes or varieties that are named the restaurant's name. And also, you also go in and with grocery stores and you advertise when you're in there.
Yep, absolutely. So when we bring samples to a restaurant, we tell them, look, these are all the base level things we have, and we do bring them some mixes that we do, especially our rainbow mix, which is probably our most popular mix out of all of them. But for the most part, we tell them, hey, if you want to mix any of these things together, it won't cost you anything extra. We mix them for free. You basically just pay for whatever it is you would be getting, and then we total it all up and go from there. And ultimately, if they choose a unique mix that we don't have already, then the name of that mix becomes their restaurant name for the rest of time. So we've got a couple different mixes that we've had set up from different restaurants, and it's literally the restaurant name mix, and it goes right on the label. The chefs love it because they're like, oh, that's cool. They have no clue. We don't tell them, until we actually drop it off the first time. We're like, hey, guess what? You got a unique mix, and now it's yours for life. And it's also one of those things where like they'll advertise it internally, like, hey, this is our unique mix that we created. So what does that mean? They're going to buy that mix pretty much forever because it's their mix, so it's almost a guaranteed sale for the rest of time. And then, yeah, like you said, when we get into grocery stores, I know I've talked about this in previous podcasts, but we typically will spend money out of pocket to advertise on social media that we're in that grocery store. We'll target that local area, because it's a great way to jumpstart the sales. Because otherwise, if you're going into a brand new place, and you're not there to talk to those people, and it's a brand new microgreen, especially not in a health food store or something like that where they're used to looking for that kind of thing, it's a tough sale. So we really try and drive that traffic in ahead of time, and then that way when our stuff arrives or a couple days after it's arrived, I mean, most of the people in the local area already know it's there. And we've had people that are driving a distance to go to another grocery store that we sell at, and this one's closer, so now they know they can just go there instead. Nice. So it's just a nice way to kind of get that promotion out there. It obviously costs money out of pocket, but it makes them feel good knowing that we're in this for the long run. That's the goal, is that we're creating a partnership, and we're willing to take the risk up front to put a little money out, because ultimately, you build that customer base at that grocery store, that money comes back no problem. Because next thing you know, they're up on their order, or they're adding more varieties, or they're doing something to get more, to cover the sales. So, and again, just creating that relationship. Obviously, if you spend money on somebody, they're going to feel good about the fact that you're doing that, and oftentimes they'll help you out when they need to. They'll talk. The produce manager may know another produce manager at another grocery store that you don't even know about, and they may talk to them and say, hey, we've got these greens in here. This guy is insane and spends money out of his own pocket to get us started. So it could be a no-brainer. But yeah, oftentimes it's not an issue at all. I mean, usually the sales go up by probably about 30-40% in the first year. Nice. So you easily get that money back, which is a beautiful thing.
That little bit of money, in reality, a little bit of money, when you spend that, it's going to come back to you tenfold, and definitely is worth doing and spending a little money on advertisement. So, Josh, what have you done? Any collaborations or partnerships?
Yeah, absolutely. So same thing too as Andy. When we go into a grocery store, we're definitely running an ad. First and foremost, we want to let people that's local to that grocery store, customers that follow the page already, and customers in that same area code or same zip code. So local neighborhoods around the grocery store, you can target through Facebook ads and show your product in front of people that either visits that store or go near that store, right? Live near that store. Yep. So both of those are huge tools, and when you're running your ads, we've done that. We did that from the very beginning, and I really think that that's really slept on in terms of small business marketing like us, because we're already hyper local businesses. So by having being able to advertise through Facebook to hyper local communities, that's a win-win. Now, as far as the restaurants, man, I love doing this. I love talking to y'all. I have not themed the restaurant mix, but however, promise you in a week we're gonna do that. Definitely. And the cool part is we've had a customer recently ask us to do. She wants 2 pounds of mixes. So I want to say 2 weeks ago was her first delivery. She's a weekly delivery. So she's got like I don't know if we got it wrote here. Yep. I got a blend that's called Color Burst Blend. And then I got a Spicy Harvest Blend that we kind of threw together just for her, but there shouldn't be a reason why it couldn't be themed to her brand, her image. And so that's a really good idea. And it's also just another nail to drive there to show that customer commitment, that customer experience. So I love
Awesome.
it, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Great.
worked out great for us. The chefs love it. I mean, it's just a no-brainer,
Yeah,
especially if they come up with it on their own.
that's genius, dude. And that's just another way to market yourself. That's just
Mhm.
look, if you want to succeed in this business, especially, you have to be able to think outside the box, and that's just the outside the box thinking that really helps.
That you only get here on the Microgreen Thumbcast.
Yep.
Can't find these little tidbits anywhere. So,
That's true.
all right, let's talk about customer testimonials. These can be huge for your business. If you get a positive customer testimonial review to enforce your local USPs, real life experience from a satisfied customer can be a powerful sales point. We touched on this briefly last week on the customer focus feedback. Do you have any testimonials or anything, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, we get stuff like, I mean, like I said last week, we are 5 stars across the board on Google, on Facebook, no matter where you find us. We're rated 100% 5 stars. Never had anything less than that. Never had to deal with anybody that complained about anything. But recently, in my Microgreens entrepreneurs group on Facebook, I posted an email, a screenshot from an email from a chef who I've been working with for almost the entire time we've been open, at least 2.5, 3 years, and just randomly sends me an email and says, "Hey Andy, just want to let you know, absolutely love everything you're sending me. I love all the samples, blah 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 blah." And just an awesome little email, just not for no other reason than just to say this stuff's awesome. He didn't have to do that. I already knew, but it was just that extra little step that he took. That definitely made it a little bit special. So that's why I shared it in the Microgreens entrepreneurs groups. That way you guys could all see, like, this is the kind of level you want to get to. Again, I mean, it's just, you really want to drive home that customer service and that quality, and those two things. It's preached in that testimonial that I received. And anytime we get one, I try and share it on our Facebook page as well, on our actual like business page. Not from chefs necessarily, but from direct, from people, just because it helps people go, wow, this guy's getting talked about and everything's good. So if there's anybody sitting back thinking, man, I really want to start doing some microgreens, but I don't know this guy from anybody, they can see something like that. You never know. They may go, hey, I might know that person or whatever. And that person said good things, so maybe I'll go use them. Again, it's building confidence, beyond your customer service, beyond your quality. People have to be confident in your business and your abilities and your product. And it's just one more way to do it.
Awesome. Josh, have you used any customer testimonials?
I haven't used any, but we've had several that really stick to my mind. The first one, when we first started, uh, we started kind of doing. Of course, we sold to restaurants and grocery stores from the beginning, but we also did a home subscriber kind of deal. When we did that, we had a woman that we were buying our soil from. She was actually at the landscape place we sourced from. So she was asking us, what are we using all this soil for? So we kind of told her a little bit about the business. It's definitely a question that deserved to be asked.
Yeah, yeah.
So we told her about the business, and she said, my doctor said I need to eat more kale. Do y'all have kale? I said, well, actually, we have a tremendous amount of kale. So we put her on a subscription that was catered only around her. It was normally we do like six or seven products. And that's our sampler, right? So for her, we just did all those 6 products were kale. Everything was kale everything. So we gave her serving of kale, and we did that. That was a weekly delivery. Well, 4 weeks past that initial meeting, when we dropped off, or it might have been 5 weeks. She said, I went back to my doctor. My doctor said the cholesterol had dropped 20 points. I was like,
Nice.
wow, man, that's insane. Hearing that from a customer firsthand, I mean, that's amazing. Now, of course, when you go to restaurants, it's always nice to get that little recognition of, hey, man, your products are always great. That's cool. So that definitely contributes to confidence. Um, when you're starting a business too, you have to be confident but not cocky. And I think some
Yeah.
people blur that line a little too much.
Yeah, there's some out there that definitely blur that line and sometimes jump right on over that line. Uh, but yeah, you definitely want to be confident. Don't go the other way. So definitely awesome tidbits there, Josh, for sure. All right, storytelling. This can be huge in your business as well. Sharing your brand, your story, your values. explain what you're passionate about and what microgreen passion you've translated into your product or services. You all know pretty much me and Andy share this like every week here, are passionate about microgreens and passionate about this microgreen business. And we've shared a lot of our stories and everything else. So Josh, what is your brand story?
Yeah, man. So 2020 was a crazy year for all of us. For me, I had kind of wrapped up a decade of experience in my industry, and I took another role that was a management spot at another company. Well, the plan originally was that company was going to close that location and move more local to us and open up here, in Lafayette. So that was the plan, and I think by April, they gave me the ultimatum. Look, you could go back into the field, but we're keeping this location open. So the plans to close down and move local to y'all, it's just not happening. So of course, I took the lesser of the two evils and stayed working. Now, unfortunately, because I was in the management spot, uh, you know, that day, I knew there was no work, but I kept the insurance. I kept the job, right?
Yeah.
So that was the moment, and that I went home, and I told my wife, I said, "Look, we're it might be hard, so we got to find something." I was standing outside on a porch, and I was looking at my wife's garden. Now this was remnants of the garden by this point. We done gave all of our fruits and vegetables to our neighbors and our friends and families and all that, but I'm looking at a tomato plant. I'm like, man, what can we grow fast that we can make some money from? Tomatoes take a long time to grow. Peppers like 90 days, whatever. So definitely, Bill's not waiting that long. So I googled right there fastest growing crops, and I went down the rabbit hole and found out about. Yeah, the rabbit holes, man, they'll get you sometimes, but you ever make it out of one, that's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
So that's what I did, and I spent a little too long researching. Um, I spent about 3 months just piecing everything together, learning everything that I could. And it's not just about growing the microgreens, but it was also about the brand image, how to sell them, how to get paid for them, all of that, every aspect of the business. I just really felt like education was a real important factor there. Looking back on it, I definitely wish I'd have done some type of mentoring program or had access to somebody that did that. It would have saved me a lot of money. It would have saved me a lot of time. And if it's something that you want to do, I'm telling y'all, if y'all watching this, definitely reach out to Mike, reach out to Andy. They're gonna set you straight. So I wish I'd have done that from jump. I didn't do that, and I wasted a good amount of money. But that's pretty much the story of how we started our microgreens business. I was backed into a corner, and there was no other option.
Yeah. As you guys know, pretty much was about the same for us. Jess was in grocery stores or in restaurants, and that all closed down. I was in transportation, didn't want to be out on the road anymore. And we have a background in restaurants. I have 22 years of restaurants, and we decided to definitely take this dive into the microgreen world, and haven't been a better decision. We did start off with the program and a mentorship and everything else, which sped us up light speeds, I believe, and didn't get all the mistakes that we had to do. We learned from somebody else's mistakes. So that's definitely a good way to go. Andy does this one-on-ones, coaching program, and we have a coaching program that dives in. Definitely, you guys all know about that. Jess has probably put all the links in here for all of us already. So, and Josh has got something as well. He does as well. So you can check him out as well. So don't hesitate to do that either. Or you can do all three. It's great. We've learned from multiple people.
Hey, you do
Yeah.
it. Yes, absolutely. My way might not work for someone else. Your way might not work for them, but Andy's might, right? So there's so many ways to skin a cat, guys. So many ways.
Yeah.
You can learn so much from
Yep.
so many different people. So it doesn't hurt having multiple mentors for sure.
Well,
All right.
and I want to make sure I'll just make a comment on that real quick that all three of us learn from each other.
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
know, even though we're all at the level we're at. I mean, Josh just learned, hey, I could create mixes named after restaurants. I learned how to grow bull's blood bugs from
In
Mike.
real time.
Yeah, Mike learned about Coco Loco from us using it. It's like this is the benefit of having access to people that are at the top of their game. It's even when you think you're there, it's like, hey, I'm pretty good at this. And then somebody comes along like Mike and says, no, you're only getting 4 ounces out of your beets. I'm getting 10 to 13 ounces. I'm like, well, wait a minute, how's that possible? So then I follow his method, and sure enough, it's like that's the benefit of having professionals in your corner. I mean, there isn't one high-end microgreen grower that all of us probably haven't talked to at this point, because it's just good to get that relationship started and get that partnership going somehow, and then that way you can reach out to them when you feel like you need to. So yeah, definitely. I mean,